What's going on, friends? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you very much for stopping in. Question I get asked all the time: what are some of the cheapest modifications I can do? Okay, well, it's kind of a loaded question, but I know that a lot of guys watching this video and gals or these videos are younger folks just getting into car modifications, so budget friendly mods are what they're looking for. Now for this video, I'm going to use the word mod or modification very, very loosely, because a lot of these aren't technically modifications, but they might be some cool or effective or convenient little pieces or parts that you can add to your Q50 that you might be interested in. Now for the sake of being budget friendly, I'm going to say everything I talk about today will be less than $300, and I'll try to keep a majority of them under $200, but just for the sake of being able to list the number of things, we'll say the best mods you can get for under 300 bucks. So let's just get started. Because I just recently did videos about this, it's at the top of my mind. I'll say that one of the first things would be a spoiler. This car, in my opinion, really needs a rear spoiler. I don't know why they didn't put an aggressive spoiler on it from the factory, but nonetheless, there are a bunch of options that you can get for well under $200. The high kick duckbill spoiler that I have, for example, $159 to $169 on eBay. Fits perfect, looks great. It's a great option for you. I should say too that these are not necessarily top priority modifications and not necessarily performance modifications. Like I said, they're just some parts that you can get for cheap and that you might be interested in. So another part that I would actually really recommend that's very inexpensive, you can get it for well under $200, I think it's actually just over 100 bucks, would be stainless steel braided brake lines. You can get them from a number of different places, including Z1 Motorsports or Concept Z Performance. It can really help the overall feel of your vehicle, especially in spirited driving situations. It's going to reduce that potential of squishy brake pedal over a long period of time, because those stainless brake lines are not going to expand dramatically as your brake fluid gets super hot. When you're driving in the mountains or canyon carving or doing an autocross event or whatnot, as you ride your brakes, that brake fluid gets super hot and causes your rubber brake lines to expand. That causes a squishy brake pedal and reduces your braking power. So for just over 100 bucks, you can really improve the performance of your braking setup, whether you have a sport model Q50 or a non-sport version. It doesn't matter. The stainless brake lines are going to be a dramatic improvement. On top of that, they're super easy to install, so you might as well do it, and it gives you a good opportunity to change your brake fluid as well, which you're going to want to do. Number three, another sub 200, actually a sub $100 modification you can make is the front splitter. Either you have a sport version or non-sport version, doesn't matter. You can get, for the non-sport version, you can get a 3-piece Amazon splitter for like 90 bucks. Simple, really changes the look of the vehicle, especially for the non-sports that really need that more aggressive, addition to the front bumper. Now, it's not necessarily a mod per se, but number 4, I would say a lot of people are interested in the chrome delete situation, and I don't know what the pre-cut kits go for, but I can't imagine they're 100 bucks. I don't know. Or you could just get a couple of rolls of gloss black vinyl for yourself for under 50 bucks. Do it on your own and really change the look of your car. Number 5, following along the lines of the chrome delete, I would say you can get the gloss black front grille for the Q50 for under 200 bucks, for like around $159, something like that. I think maybe 180. I'm not even sure. Under $200 nonetheless. That really is a big improvement to me over the chrome grille. So another option for you. I always lose track of the numbers when I do these lists. What are we at? Number 5? I don't know. I would say you could do the AFE dry drop-in filters. You get 2 of them for $100. Yeah, I think it's 100 bucks for the pair. So another good mod. We're doing great, man. We're keeping all these under $200. I thought we'd be touching 300, but anyway. Along those same lines, I'd go with part number 6. I would recommend the Z1 silicone intake tubes. It's great for, they have better insulative qualities than the rubber intake tubes. So if you're not going full intakes, you can get the Z1 silicone intake tubes, and they do a good job of keeping that engine bay heat out of your intake air, at least better than the rubber ones do, and they look a lot better. Cleans up the engine bay. There you go. Some will argue that it even reduces the intake air turbulence because they're smooth rather than ribbed. That's up for debate. You're never going to feel the difference on what those tubes do anyway, but nonetheless, for $100 or so, you can clean up your engine bay and try to insulate your intake air from the engine bay heat. So you see, I already lost track. What are we at? 7, 6, or 7? I don't know. For the next 2, we're going to stick with Z1 Motorsports. I recommend the Tomei Oil Filler Cap because it just looks good, and everybody's got to say they got Tomei, right? I don't know. The other thing would be the Z1 Radiator Cap. It keeps your radiator at a higher pressure, so it increases the boiling point of your coolant, so technically allows your coolant to stay cooler. It's too scientific, but I have it. No complaints. Looks good. Whatever. So guys, you might be wondering if you could get test pipes, or I would recommend test pipes because they do. There's several options that are well under $300, or some that are under $200 that are actually pretty decent. And I'll put a link in the description to some of those options. However, because I highly recommend tuning your car with test pipes, I'm not going to technically officially include them in this list, just because the tune obviously can range from $700 to $1,000 with dyno time. So I'm not going to, like I said, include test pipes in this particular list officially, but test pipes can be had for under $200. Yes, sir, they can. But for real, if we're going to talk about performance parts, whether we're on number 8 or 10 or 14, whatever, I'm going to say you can get the Hotchkis rear sway bar for the Q50 for, I think, $240, something like that, or yeah, maybe even less than that. I haven't checked on what prices are right now, but that is going to make a huge difference in how the car handles, even if you don't lower the car. But if you do lower the vehicle, and that might be the next part that I recommend, if your car is lowered, whether on coilovers or lowering springs, the rear sway bar is going to make a huge difference in how the car feels in the corners. It was night and day difference when I installed the rear Hotchkis sway bar initially, and I went out and test drove. It's like a whole different animal. You'll notice if you're on a completely stock setup, as you drive, it's almost like the rear end follows along like a snake. You can feel it follow after your front end moves when you quickly turn the steering wheel. After you install that rear sway bar, it's super crisp. That rear end is right with your front end, so it just allows you to keep perfect contact of your rear tires. It keeps everything stiff, and I run mine on the most stiff setting, and the car feels great even in daily driving situations. So rear Hotchkis sway bar, well under $300, definitely recommend it. If we were talking on best modifications to make for under $300, that would be towards the top of the list for sure, no doubt. Now, as I mentioned, lowering the vehicle, you can do this if you do it yourself for under $300. I have the Tane S-Tech springs, lowered the car about 1.4 inches. Super happy with how the car rides. I've been on them for over a year and a half now, and it's great. No complaints whatsoever. People will tell you you're going to blow out your shocks, and you just got to pay attention, because if you do have a high mileage vehicle, on the stock shocks, the original equipment shocks, there's a good chance that if you lower the car significantly, that you will put added strain on them, potentially blowing them out. Fortunately, I've not run into that issue so far, but you can get them for, they might even be $195. I don't even know, but I would recommend Tane. Stay away from Megan, stay away from Godspeed, or whatever the hell other cheap ones they have out there. Tane is actually a solid company that's been doing this kind of stuff for a long time. I can certainly tell that it rides differently than on the factory suspension. It doesn't float like this, you know, on the highway or in the turns. It's planted, it feels great, and it looks aggressive. So definitely recommend those. And again, one more time, I believe they're under $200. I can't believe I've waited to this long in the video to mention this. One of my ultimate favorite additions that I've made to this car is this little organizational tray here for the center console. It's only like $13 on Amazon, and it's I don't want to say it's a lifesaver, but truly, it's a great addition. It keeps everything organized. It's not just a black hole of cords and mess and tangled nonsense. Everything can be organized. You can put your shades in there, your cell phone, coins if you want to. I don't like to. They rattle around. You know, a pen or two, you know, whatever. It helps organize everything. And then those larger pieces, I keep my draggy right here on the top shelf, but underneath the cords are tucked away, and there's a slot for your cords to come up and through, so it keeps everything organized, and it's the best $13 I've ever spent. I'm super surprised at how many things we can come up with for under $300, under $200 even. So this is actually going to be an amazing video for you guys if you're just getting into this stuff and you haven't sourced these parts on your own. One more thing that I would recommend, I'm going to add this one, probably going to be the last one on the list. It might take some patience and some waiting and some looking around, but you can, if you are in a non-sport Q50, you can get paddle shifters and the complementing components for under $200. I was just over $200. I found my paddles at a salvage yard. They listed them for like $200 for the paddles, but I was local. I threw $100 out there. They said they'd give them to me for $125 if I came and picked them up that afternoon. So I got the paddles for $125. I believe. I think I mentioned the price in my paddle shifter installation video. Check that if you haven't got a chance. But it's been a couple of years now, so it's hard to remember. But I think the paddles themselves are $125, and then I got the upper and lower shroud from an Infinity Parts dealer online for $100. So all in, it was like $225. Okay, $225 for paddle shifters and the shroud. Even if it's $250 or $300, we're still coming in at that $300 price point. It's like a 30-minute installation, seriously. Really simple. Check out my installation video if you need some help. But this is one of my favorite changes to this car. And again, it's non-sports, so 2014, 2015, they should be pre-wired for these. So all you got to do is take that lower shroud off and check and see underneath some small piece of foam. That pigtail connector will be wrapped in there, and you can just plug and play these things. It's super easy installation. I use these things every day, all day. It's like my favorite mod so far to this car. So do it. But again, you might have to look around. I check Craigslist for a local salvage yard. They come up on eBay every once in a while. You can find a deal. You can do it. So you just got to take a little bit of time, do a little bit of research, have a little bit of patience. It'll work out for you. So I think that's it, guys. There's probably a lot more stuff. I mean, there's some little things here and there that I've added that you could add. I mean, a rear diffuser, these door lights, the floodlights for your doors, whatever. But I'm not going to add those to the list because they're not technically the best mods. It's hard to find a good rear diffuser for under a couple $100, honestly. Unless you want to put a lot of work into it. So I'm going to end the list at these 10, 12, 13, 17 parts I've listed. And if you guys have any questions, leave them in the comment section below. Again, I'll try to link everything in the description. And please, guys, check the description of the video. I can't tell you how many videos I have where I say links in the description, and I'll get comments immediately after posting the video. Hey, can you give me links to this part? Give me links to this part. It's like, bro, it's in the description. The description is full of information. Go to the description. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.